Hello. I had a topic that I wanted to give some comments on and bring some things to your information, and then have you think about some conclusions on why things are the way they are. So I just finished Malcolm Gladwell's Talking to Strangers. Haven't been able to get to it for a long time. When it first came out, I listened to his interview with Joe Rogan, and he was talking about the Sandra Bland video on YouTube, which is the main thesis of his book, but he brings in other topics to either fortify or to add to it and give a better perspective. But the main centerpiece is the Sandra Bland. So I remember when he was talking to Joe about this, I went on YouTube and watched the video. Just a horrific video. In response, one might say it's not the only one. I was just searching for another video, and it is just shocking, to me at least, how many other videos like this kind are out there. It is not only shocking, but sad. And when you talk, we had a discussion about this the other day, the difference between the America and pretty much every other country in the world, the number of times that this occurs where police either panic or get paranoid, and this leads to, let's just say, a bad outcome. It is, I can think of no other appropriate word other than shocking that this happens. The number of times that, and I've talked to some of my friends who were pulled over for whatever reason, and they innocently would go lunge for their registration or their license, and within a nanosecond have a gun pulled out of the holster and pointed at them, and to which they were just shocked and horrified, not knowing now what to do. So all this is couched in Malcolm's title, which I think is pretty good, Talking to Strangers. And it brings up so many things. What happens when you don't speak the language of the, although he doesn't talk about this, I thought of it, what happens if you don't talk the language of the cop? I've been in countries where I didn't speak the language of that, and through no fault of my own, policemen came up to me for whatever reason. They were looking for someone, and maybe I fit the description. And so then it's hard to explain yourself to the policeman if you don't speak the language. And then every gesture you make or every facial gesture you make is amplified because they have no other facts to go on. They have no other basis on which to judge you by. And it's funny, this happened to me in Mexico, in Spain, in Tokyo, in China. It becomes a big issue. Now, Malcolm didn't delve into any of this in his piece, but it did make me, while listening to him, think about that. And then, to add to this, there's the video I saw by the Rational National, I think his title is. He's really good. He brought up the incident where the feds wanted to pull over what they knew to be a dangerous criminal. But of course they didn't do it. They had a young naive cop do it, and they told him to pull over this guy. Unfortunately, they didn't tell him anything about the person, or that he was dangerous, or that he should beware. They kind of just told him, give the pretense that you're pulling him over for any reason, make up a pretense. This is another thing. This is a sad thing that the police feel they have the right to do, but it never leads to a good outcome. And of course he did so, and it led to a bad outcome. One might even say a fatal outcome. And then there's the other all this is couched in the other thing that then I should lead this up, that in the book that Malcolm brings up some sociology experiments and incidents whereby we come to what we think are good conclusions, you might say, but they're not good conclusions. They're false conclusions. But we think they're correct. And I see this in society all the time. People make judgments or conclusions based on things they've heard, and they, think people talking about things, and they think these are rational conclusions, so they then make a big conclusion based on this. And so the whole thing that I've brought up, I want you to think about in this regard, is that everyone, and I mean everyone, should take the course on logic. I had some of my friends take it in high school. I didn't end up taking it until first year university, and I believe it's called the Basic Logic Philosophy 101. And this will eliminate a lot of the wrong conclusions that people come to. To me, it was the best course that I ever took in university. And unfortunately, only people who are going into law, I think if you're going into law, you have to take it. And to me, it was the greatest course I ever took. And I think if everyone took this course, it would lead to a lot less assumptions, right? So I'll put links into the Rational Nationals video. That's something I want you to watch, but take care when you're watching it. It's not for the faint of heart. I'll put Sandra Bland's video, links to that. There was another one. There was in searching for the Rationals video, I came across this one where a policeman, from some of the comments, apparently he was a young policeman because you don't see him in the video. He did a stop in Montana, and you're going to see what outcome happens to that. So I want to put all those links in for you to watch, and I think they're important for you to then say to yourself, should I rush to a conclusion, or should I be hesitant to think that I know what I think I know, or is there another possible reason for what you see happening? I can recall when I watched Michael Jackson's video, when they did ABC, Diane Sawyer did a video, talking to him when she was trying to come to the conclusion on whether he molested children or not. And I was in a big group, and an Australian got up and he said, "Oh, I think he's innocent." And I was shocked because I could tell based on what they showed that he was not. He was showing some very telling indications in his behavior and his answers that it was not. Now, I had the benefit of also knowing other things, but I was shocked that this person came to the conclusion based on scant evidence that he was innocent. And I find people do this all the time. They come to conclusions just based on scant evidence, but something that makes them feel comfortable. They come to a conclusion, and they're very sure about their conclusions. They're very convinced of it. So I want you to be careful of that. And the other thing I learned in that I talked to people many, many times, I learned that it's only in doing an in-depth analysis that you can come to let's say, a more true and convincing conclusion. If you are doing it on scant evidence, you're more likely to be wrong. And if you're basing it on just things in behavior that you think things, then you're also more likely to be wrong. So there's a lot of evidence you need to compile to come to a conclusion, right? And this is something that most of us don't do. You can see it in society now. People are in a hurry to come to a conclusion, and they do so irrespective of whether they're right or not. Okay, so that's a lot for you to think about. I'm also going to put in one of the links, the fascinating word completion task that Malcolm brought up in the video, which is very telling about us individually, and I'll put it there for you to do. Okay, thanks.